Nothing is that.
Okay. We are live. Hello, everyone. This is Aaron here.
Hello. Yes.
And Katrina. All right. Here from Build Ministries. This is our weekly broadcast. Today is May the 13th, the second Sunday in May, which is Mother's Day. It's the United States institution. Congress voted this into law. I don't remember the year, but you know, Mother's Day is just a thing now in this country, and so a lot of churches have adopted it and have infused it into their practice, where they make Mother's Day a thing that they do at churches now. So churches across America are doing something for Mother's Day. You know, they get the classic Mother's Day message for a lot of them. You know, Build Ministries, we did something. You gave mothers, they all got flowers. What's the flower you chose for them?
Yes, I chose it, a white carnation, and another mother. They also chose
red roses.
Were they red?
Yeah, red roses.
Red. They're either red or deep pink. They're beautiful roses. So,
yeah. So every mother in the room got a white carnation and a red rose.
White carnation. And my sister, she is in the Bay Area in California. She made bookmarks for all the moms.
Okay. Today. Yeah.
And so I forgot to mention that today, but she made sure there was enough for all the moms and for the kids to make and take home. And they loved it. They loved putting them rhinestones. We had to take the rhinestones because it was it caused a few problems.
A bling mark.
Yes, a beautiful. They could probably have sold them. They were really beautiful. So that's what we did today. We passed out that. And then the teens, don't forget the teens.
Oh, yes.
The teens, they got to read a poem to the mothers. So that was our tribute to mothers.
That's what we did. That's right. And then there was the word.
It is.
And of course, the word today came from Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 and 21. We're still continuing through the Sermon on the Mount. And so if you ask me, man, it's Mother's Day, dude, where's the classic Mother's Day message? One thing that you must understand is that the word of God cannot be compromised by the traditions of man. So Mother's Day is not a Christian institution, but the church have infused it into their tradition. But the word of God can't be compromised by things that we create. And so when I started going through the Sermon on the Mount, nothing takes away from that. And so we did do something for moms today, you know, and you got your gift. I see it right there on your lap.
Yeah. Does anybody see mine? I love Jesus. I love Jesus scarf. I got some candy too around here somewhere. I got some chocolate candy. I got some beautiful cards today. Thank you very much, Ryan. Darion, Heaven, thank you so much. I got it right here. I'm gonna
keep talking. Right, I want to show you something that Sister Vesta and Mary did for the moms too.
Oh, okay.
So you'll talk about your gifts. I'll be back.
Oh, yeah, here they are. Here's my gifts right here. So I got this beautiful gift bag, and I got this delicious. It's gonna have to freeze up a little bit. This delicious dark chocolate. Now you know mothers need anything. We need some chocolate, and the bigger the better. This is the biggest chocolate bar I've ever seen, you know. So I'm really excited that somebody took the time to think of me and purchase some things for me. So I'm really honored. I have all my things. I'm gonna keep them right here so I can look at them.
So from Sisters Vesta and Mary, they made this poster for our mothers.
It was beautiful, and they put it right above where we have our breakfast.
Yeah, so everyone who went by and got some eggs and sausage and potatoes got to see the sign. Pancakes, yes. Thank you, Pam, for making all of the pancakes.
Thank you, Tony.
And Tony for all you do, and just everybody. Thank you all so much. We had a record number of men.
Really? I saw that. Yes. I went in there to do something.
Like they came in and kept coming, and it's like, whoa, we broke a record for men in church. Oh yes. And so we'll be doing some things later on, getting together, get outside.
Get outside. Now that the weather is really nice to do that kind of
chicken wings and stuff.
Yeah, guys like chicken wings. Girls like chicken wings too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they like getting the finger grease and.
Yeah, we like to eat. We do. Yes.
All right.
Good to know.
So into the word today, Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 to 21. Here's what they say. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And you know what I titled this one today?
What did you title?
I gave this one a title of, wait for it, I'm just kind of right there. I called this one The Makings of a Hoarder.
Hoarder.
Hoarders.
You have to really make sure you enunciate.
I have to enunciate because I'm black, so the Ebonics, it might sound like the making of a whore. I
thought he said the making of a whore. And I said, so you have people up in there fighting because this is Mother's Day. Not only are they not getting their Mother's Day sermon, but then you change it onto making of a whore. You getting ready to have hats flying.
That would be a tripped out Mother's Day message right there. It's like, it's about a woman, because I don't know of man being referenced to it as. I'm gonna leave that alone. But it's the making. I have to really enunciate it so you understand. The making of a hoarder. 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 All right. The making of a hoarder.
Hoarder.
Right.
Got it. So this is how you become a hoarder.
Pretty much.
No.
Laying up for yourselves treasures on earth.
Wow. Okay.
Because when you look at the meaning of that, like laying up treasures, they both come. That phrase is. They come from the same Greek root. And so let's just get into it. This one might not be as long as the other one, so we're just gonna go through it. Okay. You know, we drop off the kids at grandmother's house and stuff. So.
Yeah, there will be no Trenton sightings today.
That's right. We don't have to close any doors to turn up any volumes or nothing.
Sorry. He's become a regular feature in our videos.
All right. But anyway, in verse 19, when Jesus starts off and it says, lay not up for yourselves treasures. Right there, I want to deal with a couple of things here about the laying up and treasures. Laying up, the word, it can literally mean these things. It's synonymous. But when I want to get to the treasures part, because that's something that's like you think is one thing, but it's another thing. Okay. Laying up is like you're gathering something, you're heaping up, you're accumulating, or you're just amassing. So when it says lay up or lay not up for yourself treasures, now that word treasures you might think is, okay, treasures. Yeah, the things. No, that word treasures literally means a place for storing stuff.
Oh my.
Do you know another meaning for treasure?
Public storage.
Casket.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Ain't that something?
We go into the deep end of the pool. Okay.
Or valuables. So a place for storing valuables. And so the casket.
Yep.
So in other words, don't heap up stuff in a room.
Right.
That's basically what it literally means. It's like lay not up for yourselves treasures. Don't have this room or place where you have all of your stuff. Public storage. I never thought of that. Public, because people, it can't fit in the house. So I pay somebody to keep it somewhere because I don't want to get rid of it. But I don't want to look at it.
Right.
But I'm going to pay to keep it.
Right.
Lay not up for yourselves treasures. Don't have a place where you're filling it up with stuff on earth.
Right.
That's what it literally means. So he said, lay not up for yourselves treasures. And so I thought about this when we were talking. I said, you know how we're in Vegas, and so they're building a lot in Vegas. And so the more model homes we go and look at, the bigger they're getting.
True.
More expensive too.
True.
It's like, forget the 1,500 square foot house.
Oh, yeah.
These things are starting at 2,500, 3,500 square feet.
And up.
And up. And so, of course, what people do is like, I want the biggest house. And God's going to bless me. I'm going to be faithful and he's going to bless me. And here's what happens.
Right.
You know what happens when you get a big house, right?
Yeah, fill it up.
There you go. You have to fill it up. And guess what that house becomes?
A treasure.
There you go. And it's the place where you keep stuff, because if I have all these rooms, I got to put stuff in. I got to put furniture in the rooms. And I remember when we first came to Vegas, and like I told the story about how when we lived in Inglewood, we had a 1,200 square foot house, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath.
Right.
And for me, that was it. Hey, this is cool. I mean, the kids gonna grow up, all 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls in 1 bedroom. Well, they gonna grow up and leave, and so the house will be ours. And so, it's like get up early so you don't have to worry about, is there gonna be enough hot water? You just have to time it right. And so we're now in Vegas, and we have a 1,700 square foot, 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath house. And so it's like moving on up. And so I said that we had like $3,000, and I said, I'm going to get some furniture that matches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I bought a living room set, you know, because we got furniture that you just pick up here and there, and it's all mismatched, but it worked for us. But, you know, we're going into Vegas. We got a, you know, bigger house, 2-story and stuff. So I'm going to buy furniture that matches. So $3,000 are going to get the girls some like real beds.
No, excuse me. I don't want y'all thinking our kids were sleeping on cinder blocks. So they had real beds. They had a bunk bed.
Yeah, it was a bunk bed.
And then Princeton had a very nice bed. Yes.
We wanted to get the girls because they were going to get their own room finally, so we wanted to get them some
matching
beds, like separate beds.
Storybook beds.
Yes. And so bought them beds and dressers and stuff. So $3,000 just took care of a living room and the 1 bedroom.
Right.
That's all we could do. Everything else. No, wait. I think we bought a bedroom set. Yeah, a bedroom set for our room. So all that was $3,000, and that was it. In a house was every corner, everything that needed something there was something in every spot of the house.
Right.
And so cool. And so we went to go look at some model homes, and I think the smallest house in a whole community was 3,000 square feet. And remember what I said, what I was thinking as we were going through the house and looking at all the different rooms.
How much it cost you to furnish all this stuff?
Yep. I was like, man, because I just spent $3,000 to take care of 2 bedrooms and a living room, 1,700 square feet. So 3,000 square feet, that's a whole lot of space to fill. And that's going to cost a whole lot of money. Right. But what happens is when people go into houses like that and you see how it's laid out, they want that house with all that stuff. Right. The big old walk-in closets. Remember how our closets used to be when we were growing up? They were like, you know, probably like this, and everything was all over the place, and that's all it was. Now we got the walk-in closets. We got this stuff. And so
the closets are big as a room. Like you got to go, and then you turn a corner.
And
turn another corner. Like, oh, you get lost in here.
We could rent out just a master bedroom suite to a family.
Literally, or the closet.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And so when we're thinking about laying up treasures, we're thinking about having this room or a big house, and we have to fill it with stuff. Or even on a small scale, you know how some people have like a curio cabinet or something, and they have a whole lot of stuff like plates or dishes or crystal or little trinkets and things that they've collected over the years in there. And I said this, and the funny thing was, as I'm talking, people are like pointing in the room. I said, anybody know somebody like a grandmother, something that got that, you know, chocolate figure that they got when you were a kid, and it's still in the plastic in that display case, and you better not touch it or ask to move it. And they were like, I mean, it was all good and fun and stuff, because, you know, it's like, you know, everything matching. One of my pointing fingers was like, you know, when we consider all the things that we accumulate, and why do we still hold on to, like, you know, we got food that's just, it's on display in a case. It's supposed to be eaten. And so nothing has changed in that case for 20, 30 years, but you better not take nothing out of there.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything in there. Yeah.
Lay that up for yourselves. Treasures. Don't have a place where you just put stuff in it.
Yeah.
And it's only there to be seen. And so be careful, like
museum. It's like a museum.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Like
this is my display house. Don't touch anything.
And so what we have to do is we have to be careful and considering the things that we collect.
Okay.
Like some people, they have collections, and it's not so much about, you know, because it's wealthy or valuable. It's just like, say, for example, when I would go to different states for conventions, at the airports, I would get a shot glass to say that I was in the state. So I had a collection of like 7 or 8 shot glasses. I have no idea where they are today, but, you know, it's like, you know, I got shot glasses for every state that I've been in. It's not that they were valuable. It's just a reminder that I went to all these states for conventions. So, you know, there's a difference in why people collect things, because when he says lay that up for yourselves treasures, it's because you is valuable to you, and to you it's a form of you're having wealth. Like I paid $18,000 for that painting right there, boom, in the living room when you walk in, and I make sure you know that it costs $18,000, and that one over there will cost $5,000. So people want to make sure that you see all the stuff that they have collected. And so, but one thing Jesus is not saying, he's not saying don't have money.
Right. That's good. That's good. You know, that was actually what we talked about with the kids today. They're going through the ABCs Bible verses. So the Bible verse today was in no man can serve two masters.
Ooh, yeah, that's coming next.
Right. And so we got into this discussion about that. Well, how can are you saying that we shouldn't have money? No, I'm not saying we shouldn't have money. You have to have money, but it's the serving. As I said, as you get older, you're going to find out there's going to be people who will do anything for money. They will cheat, lie, steal, kill. I mean, whatever it takes. If they feel they can come out with a quarter ahead of somebody else, they'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that in their world, probably money is even different because it's not even really currency anymore. It's all swiping the cards and debits and stuff. So maybe they have a different view of money.
Yeah.
Can't see people like just doing anything to get some money. But yeah, there's a whole lot that needs to be taught about how to have your priorities so that you're not trying to serve both.
Yeah, right. And so now a couple of verses about that too, because like we're not saying don't have a savings account. That's not what Jesus is talking about, mm-hmm. because it's more about the wealth. The wealth was seen in the possessions and not the money. But we got to be careful about the money because people want to use the money to get the possessions to show their wealth.
Right.
Like, we're talking about the clothes we have in the closet mm-hmm. that we haven't worn even once.
We were talking about that. Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to keep it because I want to see my closet full. Lay not up for yourselves.
Woo.
Treasure. You see that look right there? You saw that.
Woo.
Up and to the left.
No, it's this.
I'm not trying to implicate anyone. I'm just going through the word on Mother's Day.
I'm just saying. Some people got 4, 5 closets and stuff.
Yeah, because they're the only ones in the house.
Wow.
Proverbs chapter 23, talking about the money part. In Proverbs chapter 23, verse 4, it says this right here. I'm getting there. Boom. It says, labor not to be rich, cease from thine own wisdom. And so when it comes to money, it's like, there are people who they work hard and they save their money. That's great. But don't try so hard to get rich, because why do people want to get rich? Because they want to accumulate wealth or stuff. I want to get the big house and fill it so that people know what I got. Or some people just want to get it and don't want nobody even near it.
Can I just say something about that?
Go ahead and say something about that.
I take my kids to school. I'm driving. And as I'm driving the same route basically every day, I see these huge homes. Now we're talking about the 3,000 foot. These homes are like hotels. They're huge. They take up, like, they can literally take up a block. And I have never seen a person coming or going or like opening a window or it's like there are these homes and you never see anybody, no matter what time of day, night. You don't see any cars. You never see any people walking. And so I'm even wondering, is anybody even in them? Maybe
they're inside and scared to come out.
This is my theory, I could be wrong, that people bought the houses, maybe when they were cheaper or something, and they're just holding them like possessions or collateral, like trophies.
Maybe.
This is for people in Vegas.
My storehouse.
There's a sheik, is that what they call him?
I guess.
Like a prince, and he owns this house. If you're in Vegas, you know where it is. It's like right on the corner of Durango. And he's not a house, excuse me. He owns it's a corner of an entire community. So I think there's like 6 homes, and one of them is a palace. They're trying to actually.
So he literally has a corner on the market.
He has the corner of a whole community, and they say he's never there. Never. Like, that's why they're like, he bought it, he built it, he brought in all these trees and everything from his country, and but that's it.
Because he can.
Yeah, this is not to live in, and like you said, some people don't buy stuff so that they can share it with other people or show other people, look what I got.
They buy it to possess it.
They buy it to like lock down on it.
Lay not up for yourselves treasures, because what is your treasure is something I possess. And so that's why I got it, because I want to let it be known that I got it.
They decorate it, they put the lawn furniture, everything.
And you don't have it.
And you never see anybody coming or going out of those houses.
Laying up treasures.
Yeah. Because I'm saying if it was me, you'd see me. I'd be out there watering my fake grass. You would see me doing something every day. Yep, there she go again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we be living in it.
Yeah, I'd be living in every single square inch of that house. But it's kind of eerie.
Yeah, and in 1 Timothy 6:9 it says, "But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition." And so we accumulate wealth, but we have to pay for the wealth. And so in order to pay for it, we got to get money. So people want to get rich. Why do they want to get rich? Because they want to have the possessions, the treasures, to store them up. And so he says, don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. All right. Don't have these caskets. I'm going to use that word casket a few times. Don't have these caskets full of stuff, because naked I came and naked I'm leaving. Nothing that we collect will go with us into eternity, no matter which side of eternity we go to. All right. Now, when Jesus says about laying that up, he talks about 3 different things. He said, where moth and rust does not corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. So it's talking about, because like I said, it's about the possessions rather than the money. And so the moth, of course, is going to eat the clothing. Right. And the rust is going to corrode the objects that you have. And sometimes it can be a food thing too, where you try to keep the food spoils. And thieves break through and steal. So, it's more so about the stuff that you collect and put into something. And so, like, say, I remember in like my grandmother's house and houses of older people, when I looked in their closets, there'll be these white balls all around the place. I'm like, what are these white? That's like, are they marbles? And so, so mothballs. I'm like, mothballs, those are real things. Yes, they are. And what are they for? I guess because moths literally did eat the clothing that was in people's closets. You would never see the moth, but you will see the holes in the clothing. The hole left behind. Yeah. And so the thing is, it wasn't the polyester that the moths were eating. It was that real good stuff, like the silks and the wools. The wool coats. Grandmother them always have some big, thick wool coat. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they like. That real good material. Yeah. That's what the moths were eating. And so we don't want the moths to eat our good clothing. Like, how some ladies and men have that one very expensive outfit that they wear every now and then. Yeah. That's the one. Or they stop wearing it every now and then, but they still got it. And it's probably never going to get worn again. But because I paid for it, I'm nope. So all they want to do is look at it. Yeah, basically. Hanging up in the closet. Yeah. Lay not up for yourselves treasures. And so that's one thing. We got the clothing part, and then of course the possessions and the food. That it gives an example of something that you have. That basically, like say you have some old electronics that no longer works, but you're not going to get rid of it. Like the old stereo with the floor-like speakers that stand up this tall, doesn't work anymore, but you're going to keep it. The cassette thing eats up all the tapes, but it's still in the corner or it's in the garage, but it hasn't made it to the curb. Or that uncle that somebody has that car that's still in the driveway that's been there for 15 years. I'm going to fix it. He's going to fix it. Yeah. But it's still there. He's going to fix it. Lay not up for yourselves treasures. It's rusting. Yeah, it's rusting. It is in the driveway corroding. It is literally rusting as we speak. It is corroding, but it's still there. I'm not going to get rid of it. And then the whole part about thieves breaking in is like in those days, their houses really weren't made out of sticks and bricks. But it was made out of and so they could literally dig a hole into the side of somebody's house and just reach in. Open the door. Instead of going through the door, I'm just gonna, like if it's a rainy day, oh man, just dig a hole, and then it's like, hey, I just broke in and stole your stuff. Stole the stuff. Just like that. That I would never sleep again. Yeah. And so he's saying, why do you accumulate all this stuff when all of this stuff can happen to your stuff? It's stealable. Yeah, that's a good question. Ooh, that's a good question. In James chapter 5, verses 1, 2, and 3, here's what he says. And he's talking about the stuff. It says, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. That's not a good thing to lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. You know, that's like an indictment against wealthy people who collect wealth, but don't help those who have need. In other words, you're doing wrong to the people who you can do wrong to. And so when Jesus is saying, lay not up, don't keep, don't put stuff in this casket, like, all that, because usually, like, have you ever known someone who just collected a whole lot of stuff and didn't want nobody touching it, and then they just died and all the stuff was just there? I think most of us probably know someone who was like, yeah, the making of a hoarder. And when you go into their house, you say, man, this person was a hoarder, collected all this stuff, and wouldn't let nobody into the house anymore. And it's like, it's just sitting up there. They were sitting up afraid, sitting on a pile of stuff, literally a pile of stuff. Literally. And don't want no one to get rid of anything. They might ask you to come in and help and clean it up, but really just move this pile from this corner over to that corner. Yeah. But don't take. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I'm going to go through that mail. The mail is 6 years old, but I'm going to look in there because it could be a bill I got to pay after 6 years.
Papers, the store don't even exist anymore. But I was thinking about, yes, I know so many people, and what usually ends up happening in those cases is there's some kind of health emergency that forces them to have to do something about it. Like, I know of one situation where the paramedics couldn't even get into the house because stuff was so packed to the doors. I forgot how they got in, through a window, I think. But yeah, I mean, it was really bad. There's stories out there. So, I know that they say that for some people, there's a show called Hoarders. They always have a psychologist or mental health aspect to it, because after so many years of living like that, they can't see the stuff. You can't see the stuff anymore. They're like with the one commercial we're talking about, you can't smell smells anymore, called nose blind. But I think there's people who literally go blind to the stuff because they become so used to it and used to the past that it takes to get around in their houses. But yeah, I mean,
they adapt to the conditions that they created.
You think about it, but you think about how I will always be this way. If I'm up and I'm able to walk around, and stuff, you always think, oh, well, I'll always have my health, I'll always be able to walk. And you never know that tomorrow, if a paramedic had to get in here, or what's the thing, the gurney, they can't, they would say, no, we can't get the gurney in here. Yeah. And so there are medical reasons to deal with this issue.
Keep your house clean. Like free from stuff.
Yeah. Medical. There's literal, it could be a life or death situation. There are people who have fallen because of the clutter.
And you can't find them.
And you can't get, I mean, it's sad to know that people have actually not been able to get help or get to help because they fell. And all they can do is just lay there and wait for somebody to help, hopefully come by and notice that they were hurt.
But it's the American dream to get a house and accumulate stuff.
It is. And it's hard. It's also the American dream to not let go of anything.
That's right. Do you know?
You feel like you're
being
tortured.
When I got the certificate in recycling and resource management, we learned the history of consumption in this country. Do you know that we weren't a country of consumers? Before World War II ended, we were actually a country of savers.
Really?
Yes, because the propaganda was save, save, save. And so when the war ended, people were so used to saving and not spending. It's like the companies had to pick, how do we get people to buy our products? So they really had to market. It's marketing. And so a lot of the stuff that we used to hear in churches about you can get all this stuff. No, you've fallen for the marketing and you're thinking that it's God saying that you can have it. No, it's the marketers who are ingenious, who studied the brain, who got you to think that it's your God-given right to acquire possessions. No, because 100 years ago, the average number of outfits in a woman's closet was 8.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
Every woman on average had only 8 outfits in her closet 100 years ago. Go to your closet now, ladies.
Oh, no. No.
If you only have one.
Oh, woo, woo, woo.
So if 100 years ago the average woman was okay with 8, why can't we be okay with 8? Because we've become consumers, thinking that is God's giving us the right to do so. Yes, we do have a right to consume, but if Jesus is saying that we should not lay up for ourselves treasures, or don't build these rooms or have these rooms where we just keep stuff and keep throwing in stuff, as long as there's room, I'm going to keep putting stuff in there. I'm going to stuff the stuff amongst my other stuff. Don't touch my stuff.
Don't touch it. No one might touch my stuff.
HR puffing stuff.
Wow.
I just made it up right now. Okay, anyway, moving on. Verse 20 says, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust does corrupt and where thieves do not break through nor steal. So it's two things. Number one, for a lot of people, that's kind of hard to fathom. Yes, it sounds great to lay up for ourselves treasures in heaven. But the first thing is, how do we do that? And the second thing is, what's it going to look like? Because I'm not in heaven, so I don't know. So all my clothes are going to be there? No. So what kind of treasure am I going to have? What's it going to look like? I can see and touch this stuff now.
Right.
But heaven is, can you give me a catalog so I can see what I'm going to get? So it just makes sense to me to let go of all this stuff. And so like I'll share this verse with the people who say, you know, don't get weary in doing good, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. And so the implication is that you will receive a reward here on earth for doing good, the good works that you do. But don't get weary in doing good. And sometimes it's hard to do good because doing good requires a great deal of self-sacrifice, you know, because I can be accumulating stuff.
Right.
Instead of out here giving stuff, you know,
that's stuff collection time.
Yeah, so the question becomes, how do we then store up treasures in heaven instead of on earth? Are you saying that we shouldn't have anything? Well, you can't leave the house naked. You got to have shoes on your feet. You have to have something to wear, but you don't have to have so much stuff that, you know, like I asked this question, that, you know, how many of you have shoes in your closet that you can wear right now, but you just choose not to wear them because, one, you probably think they're ugly because your mama bought them for you. That's not what you wanted. I had a pair, like when I was young, my mother took me to Buster Brown and bought me this pair of black shoes. I did not want those black shoes, but my mother bought those black shoes for me. I went home and I threw those shoes in the back corner of my closet.
That's a shame.
And I wore the shoes I liked, but there was a big hole in the front. You know how they say your shoes are talking? Yes, my shoes were talking. And so my toes were the tongue. That's how bad those shoes were. But I would not wear those ugly black shoes my mother bought for me from Buster Brown. And I remember arguing with my mom in the store, and this one little kid came over to me and he said, "Don't get mad at your mommy."
It was Trenton. Trenton did it.
I wanted to just get away from you, boy.
Little boy. Yes, I wonder where he is today.
I don't know, but those shoes stayed in my closet. I never wore them, never touched them.
I like that little boy.
I didn't like them.
Argue with your mommy. You get him, come over here and talk to my kids.
And so, of course, you know, young people, of course, will say, "Yeah, I got some shoes that I can wear right now, but I refuse to wear them." And some people probably got shoes that they won't wear because I don't have an outfit that matches these shoes right now. But I'm going to get that outfit one day. Or I don't have the shoes for this outfit, but I'm going to get the shoes one day. Lay not up for yourselves treasures, but store up or lay up treasures in heaven. How do we do that?
Yes.
Well, you had a story about the shoes.
I don't want to. Man,
we got
I'm
kids.
mad right. You read my mind. I'm mad right now. Okay. So I always tell my kids, you know, something you're not gonna wear, you know, let's move it out of the closet, make one wear. And I see these shoes that someone, because you know we protect the anonymity of the person who this is about. Y'all know, y'all probably can figure it out. These shoes that this person bought. And when I saw them, I thought this is one of those purchases that's going to be like a fad purchase, you know, something that probably was on an infomercial and all the kids had to have it because you wanted to.
Yeah, because all the kids at my school last year were wearing shoes like that. And
now, guess what's in the giveaway pile? That I don't believe were worn even once.
They were worn to show us, but
never. I was like, did you wear them to school? Did you wear them? Did you wear them to school? No.
They could be a collector's item one day, maybe. Were they Nike? Are they Nikes or just?
I don't
I don't think
they're not
are.
a brand.
No.
They're a novelty.
One of those things that you buy at the carts in the mall.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, like that. And and I when the person bought them, I tried to gently persuade them to not spend their money on something they probably won't wear in a few years from now. But oh no, back to the little boy in the mall. Don't argue with your mommy. Where was he? I need him. Because if somebody
you better get away from me.
If you know where that little boy
his mother was
is,
right next to him.
Please, no, that was wisdom. No, argue on that. Oh no.
You don't live in my house. Get away from me.
There they are, right now in our hallway, and every time I look at them, it's just like. So yes, do I know of anybody who's purchased things, and now the money is gone, and the shoes are about to be gone? I don't even know if anybody would want them. You think if they gave them away, anybody would?
Somebody in another country.
Really?
Who doesn't have shoes?
Because they are good shoes, like seriously good shoes. But no, there was a fad. It was a fad purchase, and now. Oh wait, this is on the same? Okay, this is the other thing. It's a fad purchase. You know those virtual reality boxes that they were selling that was really hot.
Yeah, they started giving away at the cell phone places too.
And then you put your cell phone in there, and I guess you're supposed to. And I didn't want the kids to have it because I said, we don't know what that's visually doing to the brain or whatever. That's in the pile too. That's getting kicked around.
Yeah, but those came because they were a free gift, weren't they? And we just happened to pick it up.
No.
Really?
Though one of them was paid for. Because again, I'm very look, don't buy this fad stuff. It's going to go out. And you're not gonna. And I don't understand who walks around with these big old box on their eyes like this. Does this look cool? Does that look cool to you? Me going around? No, it doesn't look. So money is gone. Money is gone. Stuff is still here, and soon the stuff is going to be gone.
Stuff won't be here soon.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
If it was up to me, everything be gone.
Right. Well, one thing I want to go back to this real quick before we have to wrap up. To the 12. What do we have? 1,100 square foot house. And
yeah, 1,200 square foot. We moved here to 1,700 square feet.
I just want to say this one thing. When we moved here, I don't know where all that stuff was in that 1,100, 1,200 square foot, but it was like 5 times the stuff when we had to give away, throw away, and we would just, constantly. It just seemed like those 2 rooms coughed up an incredible amount. I don't know where it was, but that's what I'm really worried about. If we ever move from here,
I'll start throwing stuff away right now.
Just throwing it out the window, down into the dumpster.
I'll rent a dumpster, dump truck. Mm-hmm. It might be money in some of these pockets, but it's gone.
Well, anyway, we've been here for 5 years. So you can imagine people who lived in their house for 40 years.
And accumulation.
And have accumulated all the birthdays, the Mother's Days, the Christmases,
the gifts that have never been touched. They're just somewhere
in a corner, piling up. And, God bless whoever has to come in and decide what to do with that. Because that's going to be a huge laying up causes a lot of work for somebody else to have to go through one day. Mm-hmm. So we pray if anything can be learned, not to be a hoarder.
Don't hold on to stuff.
Start giving stuff away now.
Yes.
And one good thing about that is, let's say you have a beautiful crystal vase and you give it to somebody and put some flowers in it and give it to them. You get to see their reaction.
That's right.
You get to bless somebody.
And they might not pay attention to the vase, but it's the flowers. Mm-hmm. And when flowers die and they take them out, and then they'll see the vase.
And they go, oh, this was,
And it could be somebody who has no idea about the value of crystal, because that's a generational thing. Our generation, we're not into crystal.
Right. And some do. But yeah, but like some of us have like 20 vases, This is the opportunity, instead of just letting them get dusty, as I'm looking up there at my vases, talking to myself. But yeah, just use them, give them away to somebody in the hospital, and long after the flowers are gone, they have a personal piece of you that they can keep with them.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Oh man, that's a good thing. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's a good ministry thing we can do. Bring something valuable. I mean, it can be sold for money. Bring it to like at Build Ministries, bring it to Build Ministries, and let's say if it's a vase, we'll put flowers in a vase, and then we'll go to like a hospital or a home and just gift that to people that are there in the homes, because we just want to bless you. And they'll see the flowers, but it's like, but they're in this vase.
But the vase they get to keep forever from you. And you know, I've learned that
you don't have to know my name.
That you don't have to know, but you have something of value that connects back with that person. And I've had things that people have given me, and it means a lot because it reminds me of that person every time I see it. You know, instead of them holding on to it forever and ever, they, you know, passed it on, and now that it's kind of like that's my little link back to that person.
Here's another challenge, especially if you're in a larger church, because I know that, you know, in our closet, for me, I have a few items of clothing that still have tags on it. I have one item of clothing. My waist got a couple inches bigger, so I can't put the pants on, and even if I suck it in, I can't get the button snapped. Tag is still on the pants. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to slim down so I can wear those pants. And like I said, I'm going to, you know, you challenged me to do the 100 sit-ups a day thing for 30 days. And that was about 3 months ago. I
thought about that.
Haven't did a crunch yet.
No, it was some holiday. It was some holiday. We had a cake. We had a half a sheet cake. So we had to eat the cake.
I have to eat it.
We had to eat the cake before we see, because we didn't want it to go bad. See, we know we got a method.
And I did it without milk.
Well, anyway, we definitely want to start being people who want to give, live, and give stuff out.
I like that, live and give.
Yeah.
And then I have those other pants where the inseam is too long.
Yeah.
And I've been saying, just take it to the tailors, and they can just hem it up.
Okay.
Been in my closet for 2 years.
2 years.
Haven't been hemmed up. Somebody can be blessed with those things. Tag still on.
Wear it. Bless somebody else. Let them enjoy it.
So that's a good. So if you're watching, that's a good ministry idea for your ministry. We're not laying up treasures, but we're going to lay up treasures in heaven. So how do we do it? Here are some verses to help you to understand how do you store up for yourself treasures in heaven.
Okay.
Let's look first at Matthew chapter 19, verse 21, and then we'll go look at some other things. And my notes again. Yeah, I'm old school. That's just how I do it. It helps me. It works for me. I don't.
No tablet.
No tablet. I'm not going to use a tablet. I just I just like to look at. Even though a tablet might help, because I need to start wearing glasses now if the lighting's bad, and lighting's good right now. Now I can see, but if it got dim, oh my goodness, it hurts. All right, so 1921. This is when he's talking to the young man, and he's like, you know, what can I do? And he said, you know, love the Lord thy God. He said, I've kept all that from my youth. And so Jesus says this: if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. And come and follow me. And then after that, the man left because he was sad because he had a lot of wealth. And Jesus said it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for a wealthy man to enter into the kingdom. And so here's your challenge. Now, it's not for everyone to do, but he said for this young man right here, because Jesus he's rounding up, or he's recruiting disciples. And the thing about discipleship in those days, wherever the teacher went, the disciples went as well. They forsook everything to follow the teacher. So this man was not willing to forsake everything to follow Jesus. He wanted to have the convenience of being there when he could, but I wanted to always have my home base to go back to. It's like, no, you can't follow me from a distance. You will lay up treasures in heaven, but he wasn't ready to let go of his stuff. So what's one thing we can do to lay up treasures in heaven? Let go of some stuff. Right. Like, you know, bases of clothing with the tags on it. Why you still have it? Let it go.
Let it go.
So that's one thing we can do. Start letting go of some stuff. We don't even have to sell it like this. Jesus told this man, we don't have to sell it. Just give it. Yeah. You know, because if we sell it, then what are we going to do with the money? We'll probably go buy something else. Right. No. Or in the book of Acts, when they were selling their things, they were laying the money at the feet of the apostles so that people's needs can be met. That's another thing right there. So that's one thing we can do. Another thing in Luke chapter 12, verse 33, it says this is kind of along the same lines of what Jesus told this rich man. And it says this right here. Luke 12:33. This says this. Sell that ye have and give alms. Provide yourselves bags with wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approaches, neither moth corrupt. And 34, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So it's the same thing, you know, sell everything that you have. It's about in the context of, you know, not worrying about what you shall have. It's like, look, don't worry about what you have. So you can hold on to stuff, start giving stuff. You'll have treasures in heaven. God knows what you have need of, and he's going to provide you the things that you need. You don't need to keep your stuff. All right. So let some stuff go.
Wow. And
so that's how we can store up for ourselves treasures in heaven, by our letting go of stuff and giving to others to help meet their needs. In 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 17 through 19, here's what Paul encourages Timothy to do. He says, charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. Verse 18, that they do good, that they be rich in good works, ready to distribute, giving, passing out, willing to communicate. 19, laying up in store for themselves a good foundation against the time to come, that they may lay hold on eternal life. So we can lay up in store. How? Distributing, doing good works. What are the good works that we can do? Giving. This follows in Matthew chapter 6 in the context of when you do your acts of righteousness, you're giving, you're praying and fasting. It says, do those things in secret. Don't do them to be seen by men, because that's what the people, sometimes a hoarder will do good to make it seem like they are good, but they really just want the recognition while they go back to the stuff that they're not going to let nobody come in and touch or even look at. Yeah, it's mind blowing.
It's a whole psychology.
Say, can you see I'm coming to America?
What they got to do with the
living the American dream, getting stuff?
Oh, see, then you said come to America. I was thinking about,
in America, it's all because when you understand the whole thing about how we come to want to possess so much, you got to understand the power of marketing. And that's basically what it is. If you turn off the TV and your phone and social networking and stuff for 6 months, you'd be surprised at how oblivious you are to the marketing geniuses that are out there, and how you're like, you might look at your stuff and say, why do I have all this now? But if you keep yourself exposed to all the marketing, you're going to keep wanting to get that, the Lexus, Lexus winter Christmas event or something like that.
That's so true.
You
think about how many car commercials you see, and I'm thinking, why are there so many car commercials? But it's probably designed to start ticking away, and then you start
looking at your old car.
I
got leather seats, but they all cracked.
Yeah, or they are having that year-end closeout event. Maybe I should go test drive.
Remember, we had a friend who was on staff at this very large church, and people who were on staff at the church used to really get on him about the car he had, trying to get him to upgrade.
Yeah, he needed to upgrade his car.
And then when he did upgrade, they were like dancing.
Yeah.
The Holy Ghost jig or something.
He upgraded his car for them. No, he did it for himself, but I mean, that's how they acted like.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Ooh, it's about time.
It was frustrating to them that he. People say the same thing. When you gonna get a house? When you gonna get like I wasn't in a house because it was a 2-bedroom house. Like my house, the size of my house was bothering them for some reason. They needed me to hurry up and get something bigger.
Yeah.
For them.
I talked about my Uncle Tommy, who lived in Louisiana. He died. He was 80 years old, I believe, when he died. And I talked about how every time I would go to his house, I only went to his house a few times in my life, but I would never forget his house. This man lived in a house in Louisiana where when you go there, the foundation were literal bricks. The house, you got the cinder block bricks, bricks. You can see the bricks. I mean, it's on bricks. And when you walk into the house up the porch, you walk in and then you lean to the side because the house was lean. And so the couch was against the wall. So when you went to sit down on the couch, you're actually reclined on the couch because it was just laying back. For real. And so he lived in a house and he died in a house. And so, and today we have this thing about, there was no such thing when we were growing up as a starter house. Now there's this thing where they're talking about a starter house. What is a starter house? Like, this is where we're going to start to live, but we're going to eventually move up into something bigger and better. Once we build up equity, sell this thing and get something bigger. When our grandparents, for them, it was enough just to own property, because if we were Black and we weren't able to own, once our grandparents, forefathers got something, they held on to it.
Yes,
they raised 16 kids in that thing.
Yes, they did.
And they died in that thing.
Yes, they did. They were very happy.
Yes.
Very
and happy. Eternity somewhere.
Yes.
But for us, it's not enough.
Oh, no.
I don't want to live where my grandparents lived.
That's true. Yeah, they were saying that was actually a problem.
I want 10,000 square feet.
In View Park, Lamar area, because it was, you know, mainly older. It
was upper middle class area of LA.
Nice though. I mean, lucky to get a house there. But when a person would die, the children didn't want to
live in that house
and
because the house was old, and one like it was Beverly Hills, like the community. It was like it was a upper middle class enclave surrounded by the hood.
Yeah. And everybody was moving to the Madera side.
Yeah, where everything
over there,
nice over
you know, brand new. Everybody, and that's another thing too. You know, we talk about marketing. Sometimes marketing can be just as subtle as these model homes. So you see the model homes. What would make you want to go back to the 1940s house?
Yeah,
right. So it's subtle. It's psychology.
That's right. And so, what else can we do to lay up for ourselves treasures in heaven? So it's kind of like, man, because we're talking about downsizing to a condo. That's right. So one is just to save money. Saving money is a good thing. It's not so they can buy stuff. Anyway, so Luke 12:20.
What? I'm just like, you know, come on.
Luke 12.
How long we been doing this?
Luke 12:21.
People got this Mother's Day. People got things to do.
Okay, I'm going to read. I got two more, and then I said Luke 6:12. I'm going to read 16 to 21. All right, and he spoke a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully, and he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits. And he said, this will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. That is written in Ecclesiastes that we should eat, drink, be merry. You know, just enjoy the days of our lives, our vain lives, and, you know, enjoy our wives and her breast and all that kind of stuff, wife of our youth and everything. Anyway, he said that. And verse 20. But God said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? 21. So is he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God.
Right.
God considers that person a fool. Oh man, Pastor Hill, he's talking about my grandmother. The Bible just said that the man who said, I got all this stuff, so I'm going to build a bigger storeroom, a bigger treasure or treasury to hold my stuff. And it says, if you leave this world, because you're going to leave tonight, then what of all this stuff? And so that's how the person is seen by God who just stores up stuff for themselves. You know, they hoard things for themselves. And they're not rich toward God. How are we rich toward God? By our giving to meet the needs of others. Those are the good works that Scripture talks about, you know, that men may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Our good works are how we bless and care for and edify and work with and love one another. And what's one way of loving others? Through our giving, and it's done in secret. You know, we don't have to let everybody know what we're doing so that we can get the recognition or an award or plaque or certificate or stuff like that. Right. Yeah, credit. And so the last one is 1 Corinthians chapter 16. Now this one might kind of strike a couple of you as odd, but it's because the word for laying up is also used in this context, and in the context of giving, giving money. I'll read verses 1 and 2. Now concerning the collection for the saints, as I have given order to the churches of Galatia, even so do ye. Upon the first day of the week, let every one of you lay by him in store as God hath prospered him, that there be no gatherings when I come. So when it says, let every one of you lay by him in store, that's the same word for lay up treasures. So he's saying, I gave instructions to this church. I'm giving you the same instructions about the collection for the saints. In other words, money that's given to go help bless somebody else. It's not money that's given so that we can pay the bills of this building that we own. I know that we got to pay bills and stuff because that's just the nature of our economy today, because no one really owns property outright and we don't have to worry about paying property taxes, light bills. So we do have to pay things like where we are, we rent space. So we have to pay to rent the space, and then the insurance and things. So there's money that is necessary for just having a place to serve and worship and edify each other. But in this sense, it's talking about the bulk of these collections are basically going for other people and their needs. And so when he says on the first day of the week, that every one of you lay by him in store, when we're talking about how do we store up treasures in heaven, is by we store up treasures in heaven by taking what God has given us. And it has to be something significant, because if we're going to lay up for ourselves treasures on earth, those are things that we consider valuable, and we're not going to pay 99 cents for something that we consider valuable. The things we get from the 99-cent store in Dollar Tree, we might not know where that is 2 days from now. But the things that we went to Macy's and bought, oh, I best believe that there are people out there who can catalog everything and name off everything that they bought from those stores for years. Because it's expensive, it's valuable. And so when we're laying up for ourselves, we're laying up in store to give, to share with someone else, is nothing cheap. In other words, we're not giving stingily. We're giving as if we would give or buy something to ourselves valuable, so that there be no collections when I come. So how do we store for ourselves treasures in heaven? Through our good works, our giving, by not hoarding everything to ourselves, but releasing it to others.
That's good.
And that's it. And so he says, where your heart is, or where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be also.
So true.
That's where it's at.
So true.
And so rob you of, and you are out on the prowl trying to find a person who stole your stuff, and you might even know it, let it go.
Let it go.
Because thieves break in and steal.
That's what they do.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. It doesn't say if they steal.
Yeah, don't have nothing that a thief wants to steal.
I used to do my thing. I said, I think that's why we were never robbed, because I said,
yeah, I mean, when everybody's getting flat screens, we still had those big old
that big thing,
heavy floor model stuff.
We don't know if somebody did try to break in here. They probably just left or felt bad and like left some
Our
stuff.
computers were even too old to do anything with.
Old. Our cell phones, there was nothing to steal. They probably just went back out and locked the door and on their way up. Yeah, that's one burglar theft prevention tool.
Yeah,
just keep this.
Have nothing that could be sold. You can't, if you steal it, you can't sell it.
It's true. A lot of people get the big flat screen TV and then they put the box out there on the curb, you know, for the trash man to get, not realizing you just told the whole neighborhood you just got a
70-inch. We can see exactly what kind of TV is on.
Smart TV, Vizio. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely let it go.
So I mean, how are hoarders made? When they accumulate stuff, and it's valuable stuff. It's not cheap stuff. It's valuable stuff. Is when people put value on cheap things. That's something totally different. But it's like they're accumulating things they're spending a lot of money on a lot of stuff, and it winds up in a corner somewhere, never to be used for its purpose. You're canceling out the reward that you can receive from God.
Right. Right.
So that's what it's all about. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So people are probably going to watch this later on. That's okay. It's here. And so we hope that you do well with this word. Pray that your hearts are fertile to receive. If it hit you kind of wrong, it's all in the word. And you should, I hope and pray that you can recover from it and put it into practice, apply it, and yeah, see where it goes. And that is a good thing. We should probably do this where we ask everybody to bring something valuable, and let's see if we can, they call it upcycle. So, recycle means you take something and you reuse it, but the value of the new item is not as high as the value of what it originally was. But when you upcycle something, you take something and you actually make it worth more than what it was originally. Like say, for example, you have a crystal vase, but you actually put flowers in that vase. You upcycled it because now you made it worth more because you put flowers in that vase with a ribbon on it. You gave that to someone.
Can I just say I went and priced some flowers for a funeral, and just a simple glass vase, not the crystal, the glass vase with some roses in it and some extra $70. Yeah.
Was it a cheap glass vase?
Yes. Like I could get I get the same glass vase at the Dollar Tree. Go buy. Yes, you could go buy flowers. I could put together. I bet a just as looking arrangement and $70. So that is an upcycle. Yeah, if you take a crystal vase now, imagine that, and now you put the same flower arrangement in that joker. Woo! That's going to be really nice. So hopefully someone will be able to be blessed by the application of this word.
Yeah, go do it. You don't have to get together with people. Just go and do it. Don't let the right hand know what the left hand is doing. The left hand know what the right hand is doing. Just keep it in secret. God who sees what you're doing in secret will reward you openly.
And let it go.
And you store treasures in heaven.
Let it go.
All right. So that's all for now. Thanks for listening, you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Have a blessed day.